have the greatest job in the world, and that's working with dogs.
Best in Show winner is the French Bulldog.
Winston won the National Dog Show. It was amazing. It was exciting. And to have a dog to be #1 dog in this country, you have to have great nutrition. And I always fed Pro Plan. Just like us, when we eat well, we feel good. And I just love that food and what it's done all these years to all the dogs I've bred and all the dogs I've shown.
All right, you guys, welcome. Welcome to Pure Dog Talk. I am your host, Laura Reeves, and I have my dear friend, Dr. Don Sturz, who is going to tell us all about all the cool stuff that he has in mind and planned and ready for you guys at the 150th anniversary of Westminster Kennel Club. So that's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Laura.
Well,
we always enjoy our chats. We always have a good time.
We have a great time. We have a great time. And you have anytime. You just call me up. Say, let's do it.
Sounds good.
All right. So tell me about it. This is a big, big one.
It's a big one. I mean, this is, when I came on board, this was really kind of, everything was geared towards this moment. All of the planning and decision making as far as getting back into New York City, getting back to Madison Square Garden, really was all in the service of the 150th. That it had to be home for its 150th show, and so it's been a long path, and so it's really exciting. We're only months away, and it's I think. To start off, last year we all, on the team kind of looked at this, return to New York City, going into a new venue, the Javits Center, coming back to Madison Square Garden, with, new teams of people and spaces and so on. We really kind of viewed that as a dress rehearsal, and we were very open to it being like a learning, experience. And I think what happened, was it actually ended up being opening night. It was like, it just all went so well, and not that there weren't places where we confused it, but it just went so well, and it was so well received, and it was so magical and so wonderful. It's like on the one hand, great. And on the other hand, like, oh no, now what do we do? Right? Like, how do you
top that? I mean, Javits really was, I've been there like most people through all the iterations, right? And Javits really was pretty cool. You could actually breathe. There was there was space, there was room. It was amazing.
You're in the middle of New York City, and yet you're in this amazing venue, and they were so wonderful to work with. They were excited to have us, and then after the show, they were so thrilled with how the event went. That they actually, committed to, future years, which never happens with Javits. So that's, good news for all of us is, we're home for a while now, which is great. And so we looked at the Javits experience and took feedback, right, from, people like during the day. And, some feedback, is definitely something that you can act upon, and then some feedback there's nothing you can do, right? Like they're like, Javits should put in a freight elevator between these two. Like, what, you're right, but not happening, right? So but what, one of the things that we took to heart was we were very conservative about how we used the spaces, right? We have 3 halls because we weren't sure how it was going to fit, how, we undersold tickets for spectators, right? Because on purpose, we were sold out every day because we decided to do that, to just give ourselves and everyone else the opportunity to take it for a test drive, so to speak. And so, we looked at the space and we're like, okay, in some ways, we really didn't change the benching area at all. That is staying exactly the same. People were very happy with the width of the aisles and all that. So, because we did get people say, well, you've got so much space here, you could have more dogs. And we're like, no, not really, because if we have more dogs, this benching area gets a lot more tight and takes us back to the days when you and I would be at Madison Square Garden, right? And you couldn't walk, right?
Carrying the clumber over my head. Come on, man.
So
just go there in your mind for a second.
So that's, I think, something that we're like, no, we're pretty set on. That is the number of dogs that fit in the benching area in the configuration of the way we do it to give space and make it comfortable and breathable and so on. One of the things that we did do was to make sure this year that we have all of the X pens that we intended to have. Last year we were short,
Yeah.
and so we were like, okay, we were very clear, in working with our partner at MBF, saying, okay, this is how many we want, and this is where we want them, and so on. So that was a learning. We added another sink. We had put in 2 sinks in the benching area, which was really appreciated by everyone.
Right.
And so we've added a third one. We're like, okay, well, if 2 is good, 3 will be better.
Most times, yes.
Yes. And then we looked at that. We looked at, the rings will be exactly the same. I think people loved the size of the ring.
Yes.
I think they loved the layout of the rings,
Yeah.
the ready rings, and so on. That will all continue to be as it was. The only change there is that we're increasing seating. We're putting in more chairs and bleachers.
Yeah,
around.
that would be great.
So that will be something that people will see that will look somewhat different, and that will change a bit the configuration, right, of the walking around rings, because we're going to take up more space with seats and bleachers. But I think that's something people will appreciate.
Oh yeah.
Then I think just from a just an aesthetics point of view, you've all seen the the 150 logo, which is our celebration logo. And so you'll see, I think, a bit more celebratory branding throughout the halls and so on. And then going into the marketplace hall 1A, which is where the Westminster merch store is, where people can get things just like the fabulous merch that you're wearing today.
I wore it on purpose.
I see it. So that hall is probably the one where we put the most effort into, in that one, there was so much more space there than what we thought we had, and so we've brought in more vendors.
I was just going to say more vendors. You had so much room for more vendors.
And so this was all, it was all calculated. It was like,
Right.
okay, yes, we can do more, and so we're doing that. We're trying to have more activations in that room to engage spectators. There's going to be a historical immersive installation in there, which will kind of take you through the history of Westminster and all the special moments. It'll be really, really beautiful, I think. And I think with this addition of sponsors and vendors and activations and engagement and photo ops and that sort of thing, we're kind of just taking it to another level around that. So, I don't want to go into too many details, because I want people to be, surprised and delighted. That's the phrase we use.
It's the deal. You got to break a little bit of news on Pure Dog Talk. Like, it's a thing.
Absolutely. So I think people will be excited to go and explore that space this year, and I'll leave it at that. And so, but everything else is remaining the same, because it worked, as far as the unloading and the process. And we were both the back end from the loading dock and the front end where the shuttle buses drop off. We will have the shuttle buses running again from the New York hotel. And we're putting out the exhibitor video. Will go out again in December, and then we just shot a new best of breed winner video, because that process is changing slightly with regards to last year. The best of breed winners filled out a card and took it to the superintendent and got their MSG wristbands credentials. This year it's going to be different. Again, a learning and working with MSG team. We're going to handle that. Westminster will have our own best of breed table outside the superintendent's office. So the card will be the same, and you'll fill out the information, but you'll go to this desk. Someone will be there to take that information, input it into a live doc that'll be shared with MSG. And you will get your credentials at the ramp at MSG, because there was a lot of confusion for people, as far as like who had the wristband. And so we're really encouraging people to come as your team, right? Come together, because you're all going to get your wristbands together. Right. So that's a little different. And so this video will explain all of that. And the other thing would be just highlighting those 2 digital tickets, right? There's 4 credentials to get into the benching area at MSG, one for a handler of the dog, one for somebody to assist the handler in the ready ring area, and then 2 credentials for people to kind of hang out with you in the benching area, for those hours. Right. And then 2 digital tickets for reserved seating in the arena, which was really intended to be those 2 people who were hanging in the bench area would use those 2 tickets to go sit. Right. Some people didn't do that, which is fine. But just know that there's only 2. If you need more than that, you're going to have to buy them separately. But again, the
If your
video,
team is so big.
yes, yeah, plan ahead, plan ahead. Um,
I
so
love it.
that's, that's in place. Um, so I think, as far as, the logistics and so on, that's all going to be in place. We are looking to do some special things in the evening, at MSG each night.
Do tell.
Um, well, I think
As much as you can.
much
I
like
see that little face right there.
we have, we're doing, well, I think some, one of the things that's very exciting is that, last year we had two group trophies be retired, the Pouch
Mm-hmm.
Coat Trophy
Yeah.
and the St. Hubert Geraldo Hound Group Trophy, right? So,
Right.
so Westminster, looked at that. I'm redonating the Pouch Cove Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
So Westminster will present, that working group trophy as the Pouch Cove Trophy as it was, but it's a brand new trophy.
Right.
And then the Hound Group, which was the St. Hubert Geraldo Trophy, will now be the Vin Melka Trophy. And
that's the one I'm like, oh.
Yeah. That's going to be, that's through the generosity of, one of our members, Tommy Milner, and his wife, Mary Jean. And Westminster is thrilled that they stepped up to do that, because we were very committed to honoring Mrs. Trotter and her Westminster legacy and her successes. Having won the Hound Group 11 times, it seemed like the perfect, breeder owner handler to immortalize.
She is immortal, so I'm just saying.
Yeah. So that's something that we'll be, making, very special that evening. And then something else that, people may have heard, murmurings about is, we're working on putting together, and we're pretty far along. So I think it's a done deal, is we wanted to come up with something to do Monday night that would encourage people to come Monday night. Everybody wants to come Tuesday night, right? Because it's best. So one of the things that we thought we might do Monday night is to create a legends presentation, and bringing back some of the fan favorites from over the years of dogs that won best in shows, reserve best in shows, or groups. And I'm not going to get into who, but I think people will be really excited to see these dogs, and and I think the public will be really happy and excited and thrilled. Right. And so we're hoping that's something that'll motivate people to come Monday night. Like if they we're not thinking that there was something there for them, this should be, I think, a big draw. We're also looking at, how we fill our break times. Because, I think people forget sometimes, right? There's a TV broadcast, a live broadcast coming on. So when there's breaks on the floor in the arena, we want to try to fill that as best we can. So people are having a good time and are engaged and entertained. And so that we've actively been looking at. We meet every other week on that, planning. And, and it's tight because you only have just so much time between each, like in each commercial break or each broadcast break. But we're working on that to make that in-arena experience a little bit more energized, a little bit more heightened during the breaks. So that's something for people to look forward to. Our sponsors, as always, our presenting sponsors, Purina Pro Plan, and we're thrilled to be in this with them. And we have Field Turf returning as our official turf provider, for Westminster.
Cosequin, that seems like that's going well.
It's gone really well, and they've been wonderful partners. Cosequin returns, with their joint supplements as a sponsor of the event. We have a new sponsor who's come on board. You may know Aurora, the heated vests, the outerwear company.
Oh, yes.
They've come on as a sponsor. And one of the things that they're offering, amongst all the other things they're doing in their activation, they're actually going to have a store on site, but they're offering for each Best of Breed winner a $150 gift card to go shopping at Aurora. Yeah.
Wait, is it too late for me to enter? Because I'm just saying. I suddenly wait. Can I still get my entries in?
Yes, you can. Entries close November 21st, so you can still get in.
Chop, peeps! Somebody find me a dog.
Yeah, so we're really leaning into this 150 theme. So Best of Breed winners, $150 gift card, presented by Aurora. So that's really, really cool. And then we've got a number of other things that, are going to be new for us as far as, sponsor relationships and activations that, we'll talk more about as we get closer to the show. But that even along those lines, we're constantly thinking of how do we make it more of a party? How do we make it more engaging? How do we make it something even more special? And so that's what we've been doing. One of the things that I'm really excited about as well is we've been working on a commemorative book. And if you remember, there was a book that was done for the 125th anniversary, which is basically kind of the go-to reference book, right, on Westminster history that Bill Stifel wrote. And so we didn't even want to try to do that. Like we did, it stands on its own.
Yes.
So the direction we went was more, rather than a reference book with tremendous amount of editorial content, we went completely the opposite direction and tried to create a pictorial journey of Westminster's history and the Westminster experience and all the different aspects to Westminster. And so it's really a really beautiful book that will be I think we're actually going to be putting it on sale through our holiday guide, but it will be at the show as well. You'll be able to buy it online, but it'll also be at the show itself. And it's so beautiful. I mean, we were putting final touches, on it this morning, looking at proofs and so on. And even being so actively involved with it, and I know every inch of it. Every time I look at it, I get teary, I get goosebumps, I smile. It's like it's just the team did such a beautiful job with that. Allison Younger is our director of communications, and she really spearheaded this. And Michael Joseph's our COO, was like really in the trenches as far as going through the thousands and thousands and thousands of photos.
Many thousands. Yeah.
And, I got to sit there, like Miranda Priestley and, Devil Wears Prada and go, yes, no, yes.
Okay, this sounds like such the perfect job for you. I'm sorry, Don. It's like totally. Yeah. I want that for you. I think that is fantastic.
It was very that. It was very that.
Oh my God.
It turned out to be quite beautiful. I mean, it started out, it was only supposed to be a commemorative program. And over time, we were working with this great group in the UK, TLC, and it just over time, just became a book, and it's so, that's what it's always beautiful. And so that's something to look forward to. And and we, working on the holiday gift guide, that's going to be coming out with some really cool stuff in it.
Trupanion is revolutionizing medical insurance for pets by providing the best possible experience to our members. And it's not some space-age dream. It's happening now. We pay your veterinarian directly while you're checking out, and we're the only ones who can, which means you have decisions in seconds, and you don't have to wait for reimbursement. So unlike with other providers, you'll keep more money in your pocket. Ask your veterinarian if Trupanion can pay them directly, because there's pet insurance, and then there's Trupanion.
And you've got the agility again on...
Yeah, let's talk about that. So Saturday, let's talk about Canine Celebration is on Saturday, January 31st during the day at Javits. And so we have our 12th annual Masters Agility Championship, which is always exciting. And then the finals will be broadcast live. They will be 4:30 to 7 on Saturday. So any of you want to catch that aspect, that's a Saturday early evening event. And then in addition, we're bringing back the fly bowl tournament. That was a huge hit here. Spectators loved it. And we're coming back. It's exciting. I don't know if you remember, I actually got to run a dog in it. They were like, do you want to try? I'm like, of course I want to try. And so I got to run one of the dogs on one of the teams. So it was just.
I was going to say, was that the bull terrier of yours that you ran, or something else?
No. This was a dog who was there to train me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes. And he was, just. I think if I remember correctly, his name was Cal, and he just was this wonderful veteran dog who just knew what he was doing, and kind of knew the guy holding on to the leash had no clue, and just took care of it. So it was good. But super exciting, super fun. So we have them coming back, which we're thrilled. Cool. It was funny. They far exceeded their limit. They have there are 15 teams of 4 dogs each, and they actually, and the entry overdrew by much more than that. It
Oh,
was a
wow.
hot
Flyball
ticket.
is like, that's a super, like, I know all kinds of people that are doing flyball stuff, and it is a big, like, people love it.
It's a big deal. It's a big
Yeah.
deal, and it's fun, and it's fast, and it's
Yeah.
high energy, and
Yeah.
and so for spectators, it's great because they understand it. They know exactly what's happening and
Mhm.
why,
Mhm.
and then they can. I think it's something they can see their own dog doing, and so
Yeah.
that's part of like with agility as well. I think it's fun, right? You're always looking for people
Right.
to bring them into the sport, and very often, that it's those kinds of activities that will hook somebody, and then they end up at a dog show and see confirmation, go like, oh yeah, I want to try that too, right? So so we love that, from an entertainment point of view, but also an educational point of view. We'll have our demonstration ring that will have a variety of different presentations throughout the day on lots of different activities, herding, and we're hoping that the police department will come with their canine unit to do a demonstration of the kind of work that they do, and scent work, and all that. We're going to have a beautiful obedience demonstration, and the dog show 101, of course. It's like, what's that? What's the judge doing in the ring, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so, I think I was able to rope Michael Faulkner into doing that again. He did a really nice job last year. So, if you're watching, Michael, you're doing that again.
Michael,
Um,
Michael.
so that's really helpful for people because it gives
Right.
them an idea of then what they're looking at when they come to the dog show Monday, Tuesday, what the judge is doing. That leads into something else we're going to have in the marketplace. It's like there are a million things going on, and it's like they just start falling out of my head. We're going to have
Well,
what we're
I
referring
just keep poking you. I figure eventually they'll all fall right out.
will all come out on Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday during the day at Javits. We're going to have what we're referring to as the sensation stage. And last year we kind of we dipped our toe in this concept of we had Dr. Diggs, our resident veterinarian, was present, and he did a paws and pointers, kind of an ask the vet,
Mm.
just casual people in
Yep.
the crowd asking vet questions, right?
Sure.
And it was a big hit. So we're really leaning into that. And so we've actually created a staging area. And so he will be one of the speakers, but on each of those days throughout the day, we're scheduling things like, veterinarian speaking, trainers about how to train your dog, representatives from different sponsors. And we'll probably do, something like, what's the judge thinking kind of
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
in some way. And possibly some meet and greets from some of the legends that are coming. So,
Fun.
so the sensation stage will definitely be, I think, a destination for a lot of people, throughout
Very
those
cool.
days. Yeah. So just a lot of, like I said, I think, that concept of how do we elevate it? How do we make it a party? How do
Mhm.
we make it special and really memorable and make it stand out from all other Westminster events? And
Yeah.
so I think I've given you a feel. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and I mean, we all have these conversations throughout the sport, even at regular old dog shows, not Westminster. You know what I'm saying? Like, going to a dog show for a lot of people is like watching paint dry, right? So how do you get people to come to the dog show? How do we encourage? And so this is all of these things, right? That's a big deal.
Yeah, how to engage, how to educate,
Mhm.
how it's, we looked at it, looked at that space much like a fan experience, and we actually brought in an experiential group that does fan activations for NFL, NBA, and so on. So we really leaned into this
Yeah,
concept,
yeah.
and then I think the other side of it is, that's a big part of what the benching area is that opportunity for our spectators, our New York City community,
Mhm.
to come in and meet dogs of different breeds and talk to breeders and the people who live with them and the people who are examining. They're seeing the very best, right? The level of
Right,
quality of animal that
right.
they're going to meet and engage with are the very, very best. It's the cream of the crop. And therefore the individuals who are there with them, right, are some of our most successful breeders and
Yep,
exhibitors.
yep.
And so I think it's a wonderful educational opportunity, and that is a pet peeve of mine, and that I do think that's one of the responsibilities of any dog club that puts on a dog show, is to remember that one of their main responsibilities is to serve as an educational resource and a connection for their community, to the dog world and with, what dogs are all about. And when we see so many events, going so far astray, from their communities, and I understand it, venues are hard to come by and so on.
Well, you lived
But
it, right?
I did, and I think that as much as part of it's Westminster story, we're Madison Square Garden, it's New York City, it's the magic, but there's also this responsibility part that I think is important for us, as an institution that has education as part of its mission, that we attend to that, and I think that this event and the kinds of things that I've just been sharing with you and talking with you about, I think is evidence of us committing to that, like really leaning into that.
And I think one of the things that I kind of miss from back in the olden days is when people decorated their benches. And you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we need to have a push, like who's got the coolest decorated bench or something, because that draws people also. And I think, people take a lot of pride in that, in kind of showing off their breeding program or whatever it is.
Yeah. I remember back in the day, people would have signs and photo albums, all kinds of decorations. Yeah.
I remember taking a photo album of my entire, this is my breeding program.
I love that. I hope, now that, we've returned, and, to being in New York City and a venue that allows us to do benching, that, because I think part of that, Laura, is we have so many people that had never been to a bench show, have never exhibited dogs at a bench show, right? And so they weren't even sure what to expect or how to navigate it. We get those questions still. And so, but I think I love that idea. I think people should definitely, own their space and embrace their space and use it as an opportunity to, celebrate, their dogs, celebrate their breeding.
It's your teeny tiny little, billboard for your breeding program. Use it wisely, man. There's your Pure Dog Talk challenge, y'all.
I love that.
Little throwdown. Just a little throwdown for everybody. Okay, let's see what else. I had a couple of quick questions. Are your host hotels and all that are pretty much the same?
So the New York hotel remains the host hotel this year, and it's central, right? It's smack in between MSG and Javits. Like I said, we will have the shuttle buses running, from the corner of 8th Avenue and 34th Street right outside the New Yorker. Just remember, dogs first. So if you're waiting online and there's somebody who walks up with a dog, they go first.
Always.
But those will be running, throughout each of the days as they did last year. That seemed to work really well and go very smoothly. And then of course it's, if the weather's nice, it's actually kind of a pleasant walk, from the New Yorker to the Javits.
I did it one day. It was a long walk, but it was good. It was good.
Yeah, probably because I live in the city. I'm used to walking everywhere, so it didn't faze me. But it's a good 15-minute walk from
it's manageable. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it, y'all.
Going right down 8th Avenue, it's you're not going to get lost. Let's just say that.
No, you run smack into it.
Yeah, and so that's in place. And of course, I think everybody loves the TikTok diner at the New Yorker. That's one of the big perks for me. And I also I just found out, and Westminster doesn't have anything to do with this, but the New Yorker is going to provide exercise areas again. They did that last year.
Fantastic!
And that was not something
so handy.
We weren't sure if that was happening because again, that's not Westminster it really has no say over that. And so I hope people appreciate that, because when you think about it, all the shows you go to and all the traveling, how many hotels provide exercise areas
an entire, and I know one year they had a bathing area down there.
Yes, exactly.
It was incredible.
Yes. And so we're very grateful that they think in those terms and that they're willing to staff that and make that happen. And so I hope people are, appreciative of it and are respectful, of the space.
100%. And for those of you who are coming for the first time, do not make the mistake I did with my Clumber Spaniel. Oh, I'll just take him for a walk down to Central Park, except for that I didn't understand the part that he was going to come back black on the bottom. So,
Yep.
So trust me, that bathing area comes in really handy, and bring an outfit.
That's New York City sidewalks. Yep.
I'm not from there. I'm just offering up pro tips for those of us who come country bumpkins stumbling into the city. Bring an
True.
outfit.
I'm trying to think of what else would be helpful for people to know. I think, as far as, like I said, the exhibitor video will go out
Yeah.
probably sometime in December, once the entries are closed
Juniors.
and we know who's
That was the other
coming.
question I had. Juniors.
Junior. Okay, so obviously, we have our junior finals, again, and that's always something that is so exciting and fun, and we grew up in it, so we get it and appreciate it, and and so that's there. We're actually right now working on putting together yet again a nice swag bag for our juniors, and so that they have some goodies to take home with them, and that's something I think we'll continue to always do, is just to have them have something that makes it special, some special things to remember us by, kind of thing. So
Cool.
yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
And the scheduling of juniors, we try to make that something that accommodates everybody. I would I hate when I hear like, oh, a junior is having to run from a breed ring, or make choices and stuff.
Right.
It really shouldn't have to happen at Westminster, so we try really hard to avoid that as best we can. And there's always that option, if a junior does find that happening, they should go to the superintendent and ask to be put in a different group, right? That can always be approached, and the superintendent should attempt to accommodate that as best as possible.
Good advice, y'all. All right. Well, Dawn, I know we're going to have you come back in January for a live at 5. So everybody that didn't get a question answered today, send me an email, and we will have Dawn back, and he will answer all of our last minute questions in January.
That sounds great. I look forward to it, Lauren. Thank you so much for having this chat.
Always happy to have you.